what do I have in my hand?
Something.
Oh, fun.
Kiwi. Okay?
Void with something in it.
I can't even see an artist.
Okay. The reason why I show you this is not because of the object itself, but it's to try and stimulate curiosity, interest. What is it? It doesn't matter what it is. It is a key ring. But I'm talking about curiosity itself, okay? Because when you approach an artwork, any artwork, that's what stimulates it. That's what you have to have. Do not be like a number of students who we have over Corey, tell me about this work and I know something about it. It resonates from within you. Okay, think about sculpture as just a plastic form. Very much like a human being, we're just plastic forms, but we're alive, we have life, so there's something other than simply that plastic form, okay? Sculpture, you may think is dead, but in actual fact it resonates with the ideas of the sculptor, and it also resonates with the ideas that you bring to it. And that's really important. It's very much like when you meet a person, you're trying to weigh them up. Again, this is curiosity. You're trying to find out aspects about them, but what you're doing is you're bringing your experiences of the world to that person. Same thing with a sculpture. You bring your experiences to it. Some sculptures, for instance, for small kids, they will just look at the mass and the space and it becomes a toy. That's their experiences. As adults, we've had a variety of experiences. We all have different walks of life. We bring that to the sculpture. Okay, so what we see as individuals is really important. What resonates about these works. So yes, I'm going to talk about the sculptures, but so are you. Okay, so those that are willing, come on. Okay, Jeffrey Ireland is a specialist when it comes to metal sculptures. Now the title of this is AUS or Oz, US Icon, and it was created in 1992. All of us are older than 1992, we all lived that period, didn't we? What was happening globally? That's right, the Gulf War. Is he actually making a statement that we tied ourselves in knots with the US to such an extent that we can't move out when it comes to our relations with overseas nations? Or is he actually fact saying there's a bridge between the two nations? They'll remain unified no matter what. What do you think? Hard to tell. Hard to tell. Depends on your political stance, doesn't it? But certainly this does have a political edge to it. But in terms of its formal qualities, what he's actually done is he's broken up into mass and spaces so that we can play around with both. What I want you to do now is do what a young kid does. The kid doesn't simply recognise the mass, but also the shapes that are created in terms of the spaces. So we see windows. And this brings in another important aspect about sculpture. Unlike painting, you don't confront it in terms of approaching it from one direction. You become part of the sculpture, you walk around it, and it constantly changes. And those empty voids change in terms of their spatial relationship to the work itself, because I can see beyond. Okay? You become part of the sculpture itself. Very important. Now that's a major difference between this and a painting which you will see. Alright? Placement is crucial, and as Rhonda's re-emphasised, those voids are just as important as the solids. People just tend to look at the solids. That's not what the sculpture is. It's the combination of the whole and then the placement of it within this space. So yes, it does have a political edge in terms of meaning, depending upon your political direction and understanding, but also as an object itself, it's intriguing in the way it's been put together, and more so intriguing given the relationship it now has within this new spatial context. Let's move on to the next one.
Would it be true to say, though, that there's a lot of propping up going around?
Yeah, well, you're bringing your... Yep, okay, good. You're responding to it. Fantastic. You can come and be an art critic for us anytime. That's what people are scared to do. They're scared to make statements about what they see. Hydrometer. You know what a hydrometer is? A hydrometer measures the density of liquids, and they use it in, for instance, cars, for petrol, for our batteries and so on. So it's a gauge of the density of a particular fluid. this piece is water. And for me, it is a guardian of this particular item, which is necessary for life. Now, you can place that within a variety of contexts in terms of whether or not you believe in climate change. If you do believe in climate change, you can understand the significance in terms of water, and water gives life. Without life, well, there's a bit of a problem. We won't be hanging around.
Unlike the crustaceous form.
Now, why do you think that is so?
Well, if it's a water thing, it's come out of the depths, hasn't it?
Oh, very good. So it's metamorphosis.
Yeah, that's right. It's a
That's wonderful. Come on.
prawn-esque.
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 So it's appealing.
It is.
Full ball.
Ah.
Oh, we've got to go into a comedy routine, you and I. No, that's actually quite a great observation. Okay? Really a good observation. Now, why do you think there's a contrast between the types of materials? We have traditional materials for sculpture including stone, metal, and wood. Now, we don't have stone, we certainly have wood, and we have galvanised metal here that has been put together. Why do you think she's combined these particular types of materials? Is there a reason for it? Or, hey, look, I just put some
Easier
material.
to carve hands out of wood than fabricate them from those little bits of wood.
Okay, that's a good observation. How do you create wood?
Like a farmer, the way he's been over.
Oh yes. Do you think it's an offering? Could be an offering. In both of those processes, you actually need water. In both of those processes. And why do you think sculpture may have desired for it to be able to move along?
Spread the message.
Spread the message, or
Flow like water.
or this is all good.
Roll like raindrops.
Roll like raindrops. Come on, we only got one person at the moment. I'm four.
Come on, team.
Okay, do you all have service water at home, or are you on water tank? Water has to be stored. Water has to be moved, okay, to where it's needed. Is the water being guarded? We're talking about Persia here. Is there a lot of water there?
Look, it'd be the most precious substance in the Middle East,
Correct.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
They'd fight wars over water,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
we might have to at some stage.
The intensity of the preciousness of water, if we put this within a desert landscape, it would really, really increase. But even you guys would have seen droughts. You know how precious it is. Now, if a young child came here, they would have a totally different perception. They would bring their experiences and they'd love playing with it. And Brian's worried now.
They call it a bit prawn.
A big prawn, well, it is a crustacean, as the gentleman pointed out. Let's go to the next one. I need a beautiful young lady.
Okay, everybody get ready for this.
Okay. Do any of you have a resistance to touching sculptures? I'm not asking you to damage it, but touch it, because that is what you should do with a bad shawl. Now, that surface, how would you describe it? Okay, what about this surface? Okay, so we have a contrast in surfaces. Thank you very much for that. At uni, when we take sculpture tours, people are resistant to actually touching these sculptures, that they're precious points of art. But the intent of a number of sculptures is that they want you to have the tactile intent to actually run your hands across and feel the surfaces, because it is a plastic art. This is an organic form, and Janiszewski is very well known for her sandstone organic forms. This is compassion. These pieces, she's created pieces similar to this that we have at the quarry, which are large scale, but again, it's always been this organic feel to it. She's very rarely been interested in the angular, okay? Very rarely. And these particular sandstones are unique in that she wants, well, some of these pieces she wanted it to age, and there are some sculptures which we've permitted to age, but there are other pieces which, in terms of their natural beauty, must be cleaned. And Brian and the staff at the gallery have made a wonderful, and their conservator have made a wonderful recreation of this, because when it left the quarry it wasn't this clean. But look, notice here how she's accentuated this particular pattern, right? So there's the thought that's gone into it, but reliance on what she finds as she goes through this particular material. Put all that negative space, and you're not looking at me, you're actually looking at this sculpture. By James Rogers. James Rogers has been prolific when it comes to metal sculptures, although now he's actually got a show on over at the Grill Hall in Canberra. I think it's still on, where he's also taken his ideas about the fluidity of motion as suggested by planes into wood. Now it is very important to take a look at the negative spaces, and as you move around, of course, the forms of the negative space change. That's a given, so you can walk around if you like. But what he's interested in is the rhythm that these forms create. And it's up to you to start wherever you wish and follow the lines and rhythms, and then follow the planes that take you off different angles. Music for him is very, very important, and we can actually see that this is a composed work. He plays around with the forms together before he starts actually welding. He sees what works, and he's not going to the end. He says a sculpture is never finished unless it rings. So I don't know whether or not this will ring. It rings. Okay? Very important for him to be able to do that. At the end of yep.
It's actually almost a living thing. It's evolved.
I love that. Very well put. It is. Did you all hear that? A living thing, and it's evolving. Hence time becomes part of the process of the sculpture itself. And that's part of the intent. So, we could put that sculpture inside a room and light it, but it wouldn't have the same intent in terms of how we approach it. Yes. Feel the patina here, feel the skin. Oh. This is Reconciliation by Tim Gibb. We're in the Peace Precinct. We have unity happening from above. Both are different in terms of their forms. Okay? Both have similar patina, so there are similarities. But the union's taking place up the top. So there is a possibility to have unity whilst also having difference. In actual fact, I'm always quite surprised when governments are anti that, because we are all different, yet we all share certain common civic values. That's what brings us together, okay? The way in which we relate to one another. And this is a brilliant work. This at Macquarie University, we were just talking with Brian, was absolutely lost where it was. And the patina itself, or the skin, had really gone bad. And this has been restored in such a brilliant fashion. Come and touch the patina, really touch it. Because it's just amazing the way in which they've refurbished this area. Jeez, brilliantly done.
To me, this is feminine, this side is masculine, and given all the present problems with scandals and so on at Parliament, it makes me think there's a little bit of hope for reconciliation between male and female.
I love this. I hope you're recording all of this. This is a great response. Love it. And why do you think? Because these are two totems brought together, and I tend to suggest that if they weren't together, they're likely to fall. But why do you think it is taller than, I know I'm short, taller than most of us?
Well, reconciliation's a probably is an issue.
I love that. It's something to look up to. It's something to aspire to. It becomes monumental. It becomes significant. If it was small, well, minute, it wouldn't have the same strength in terms of the values that we want to take away with us when we observe it.
Thank you.
This is it.
Yeah, that's right.
When you bring other people here, allow them to actually reflect, bring their own experiences, just as you've done, to see what they can see in these works. And that way you're actually taking the work away with you. Okay? And you're actually learning something about yourself. What are the things that are important? And artworks are points of philosophy for you to come to be welcomed by, but to take away the experience.